of the advisory board of CODEO. Ladies and gentlemen, we have brought you here this morning to do something that we have been doing since the year 2008. Since the year 2008, 2012, 2016, and 2020, we've always, before an election, it's almost become a ritual. We do this. We bring you here and we explain this morning, but to tell you about the before election. What could you doing the people since the year 2008? And I remember when I was working with the EC, each time the CODEO people talked about PBT, I felt it was something not real. It was not real. I've always been telling him that CODEO, this is magical. That this is magic. We have been trying to complement the efforts of the EC. And why are we doing this? We are doing this to prevent any kind of misunderstanding, to prevent fraud, to give credence to whatever results that the EC will announce. So we have always been telling the EC that in this particular contest, we are all friends. We are friends because we help them. I remember the other day when there was an election and it turned out to be controversial. We had to rush to the premises of the EC to dialogue with them and to we would have had the same results. And indeed, when we sat them down and we discussed it, everything went well. So, in order not to bore you, we are here this morning, as CODEO said, to tell you exactly what we're going to do for the 2024 election, the preparations that we've made so far about the election. Ours is to make sure that the election, the result that is turned out, is credible, is acceptable to everybody, and is not controversial. So without much ado, I would like to hand over to the MC CODEO to tell you of what is going to happen next. But like he said, after this forum, you will be invited also to join us at the data center, where there are officials there to run you through what we mean by the PBT that we've always been talking about. Thank you very much, and get ready for what is going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahin. As we go along, I'll be trying to recognize some of our dignitaries here. First, let me recognize the British High Commissioner, Madam Harriet Thompson. Thank you very much, and also thank you very much for your support. Also, we have really excited to have a number of our sister domestic election observation groups from across Africa that are here to support us. The West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network, WADIMOS, together with the West Africa Election Observers Network, WION, are here. If they can give a wave. Yes. Thank you. We also have the Eastern Horn of Africa Election Observers Network, who are also here. All right. Thank you very much. We have the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, who are here. I haven't seen Dr. Gampe. Oh, good. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. International Women Communication Center. Hello, Dr. Jiwa. Yaga Africa. Right. Good. So they are all here to show solidarity. They are also undertaking a study mission. The NDI study group are also here. Thank you. We have some of our colleagues from Palestine all here. Thank you very much for coming. So now, before we go to the statement, let me invite one of our coordinators at CODEO, Mr. Joseph Otifrimpong, to introduce members of the CODEO Advisory Board. CODEO has a 25-member advisory board, and some of them are here. We also have members of our General Assembly, the 42 members that make up CODEO. General Assembly members, if you're here, great. Thank you very much. Joseph, if you will take the floor and introduce the advisory board members here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. So the coalition of domestic election observers is made up of 42 member organizations, and out of that we have 25 advisory board members. Out of the 25, 10 are independent. As the co-chair of CODEO, he is a Reverend Minister of the Ghana Baptist Convention. We have Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, who is the Executive Director of the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, who is also a member of the CODEO Advisory Board. We have Ms. Susanna Na Setre from the Trade Union Congress. She is also a member of the board. We have Professor Emmanuel Jimabuadi, the board chair of Afro Barometer. We have Mrs. Philippa Larson from the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NATS. So please, you can stand and wave. Okay, that's Mrs. Philippa Larson. We have Mr. Frank Bicham from the Ghana Bar Association. We have Mr. Kofi Bentum Kwanson, former National Security Coordinator and former Director of BNI. We have Mr. Alexander Bankole from the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations. We have Ms. Joyce Nyamin from Youth Bridge Foundation. Joyce. We have Mr. Eric Kabonu from the National Association of Graduate Teachers, that's NAGRAT. We have Ms. Hamida Harrison from the Abantu for Development. Sheikh Arimaya Shaibu, who is the spokesperson of the National Chief Imam, is also a member of the board. Reverend Dr. Cyril Forese is from the Christian Council of Ghana, CCG. See here? Okay. Alhaji Ahmed Suleiman Anderson from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission of Ghana. We have Emerita Professor Techiwa Manu, Senior Fellow at CDD-Ghana and a member of the board. Mrs. Nana Asantwa Afa Zenu from the West Africa Civil Society Institute, that's WASI. We also have Mrs. Perpetua Ofori Ampofo from the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. We have Dr. Mazouk Abubakar Azendo from the Office of the National Chief Imam. We have Mrs. Gifty Florence Enin, who is a former commissioner of the Ghana Police Service. We have Apostle Emmanuel Tete from the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. Mr. Albert Kwabena Jumfuo, the president of the Ghana Journalist Association. We have Mr. Edmond Akwe from the Civil and Local Government Workers Association, Ghana, CLOSAC. We also have Ambassador Francis Tiga, who is a member of the advisory board of CODEO. So these are the people who make the decisions of CODEO to be implemented by the CODEO Secretariat. They are supervising the observation of CODEO for the 2024 general elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Let me also recognize the board chairperson for the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, Professor Audrey Gajapo. Prof, thank you very much for being here. So now we'll go to the statement, and I will invite first Reverend Degbe to start, to be followed by Mrs. Villas. Thank you.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Our friends, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my colleagues of the Advisory Board of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, I welcome you all to this morning's briefing, which is for information about CODEO's preparations for observation of Ghana's presidential and parliamentary elections, which take place this Saturday, December 7. Need I add, that is tomorrow? Several weeks ago, on October 17, 2024, we launched CODEO's election observation activities. I am pleased that CODEO is ready to deploy 4,000 observers nationwide for the December polls. Earlier this week, the coalition also completed the setup and full activation of its National Information Center here at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. The CODEO National Information Center is staffed by over 100 persons. As in previous elections, this center will serve as a central hub for CODEO's observation activities during the elections. Therefore, its successful activation is a significant step in our preparations for the observation exercise and our pursuit of transparent, credible elections. CODEO and its objectives. CODEO's primary goal is to promote transparent, free, fair, inclusive, and peaceful elections in Ghana. To achieve this, CODEO supports and complements the efforts of the Electoral Commission and other stakeholders by mobilizing Ghanaians to participate in electoral processes. On Saturday, December 7, 2024, eligible Ghanaians will exercise that right to select a president and members of parliament for the next 4 years. This will be the 9th time Ghanaians go to the polls since the beginning of the country's current democratic dispensation in 1992. As a democracy, this exercise is significant for the opportunity it provides to all citizens to participate in governance. Conducting the election in a manner that lends credibility and elicits the acceptance of all is critical in this regard. The country has achieved electoral credibility and general acceptance in the previous 8 elections. At the same time, various challenges have and continue to characterize the electoral processes. Given their importance and current challenges, CODEO's independent and impartial role in these elections is crucial. In line with its belief in a comprehensive assessment of the electoral process, CODEO's observation of the 2024 elections encompasses all phases of the electoral cycle, from the pre-election period to the election day and post-election period. The coalition's pre-election observation kicked off with observation of the processes for the updating of the biometric voter register, which took place earlier in the year. As I speak, 97 CODEO long-term observers who observed the pre-election environment have just concluded their observation activities, which began on the first day of October 2024. CODEO's Election Day Observation Deployment. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to inform you that tomorrow, December 7, 2024, CODEO will deploy 4,000 observers nationwide. These observers will comprise the following: polling station stationary observers, that's CODEO rapid response observers. There will be 3,401 rapid response observers who will observe the polls at a representative sample of polling stations spread throughout the 276 constituencies across the 16 regions of the country. This number includes 1,500 parallel voter tabulation observers, that's a PVT, observers deployed to a statistically representative sample of polling stations, and 1,000 youth observers. The stationary observers will observe the election at the assigned polling stations from setup through the declaration of polling station results. And there'll be roaming and mobile observation, that's CODEO roaming observers. In addition to the stationary observers, there will also be CODEO roaming observers. These will include 307 CODEO regional coordinators and constituency supervisors. The roaming observers will be at all 276 constituencies where voting will occur. In addition, members of the CODEO Advisory Board and the CODEO General Assembly will undertake roaming observation in various constituencies. There will be 276 observers, one each, at the 276 constituency collation centers nationwide. For the first time, CODEO would also have 16 observers stationed at the 16 regional collation centers of the EC. 2 observers will also be deployed to the National Coalition Center in Accra. The observers of the collation centers will monitor and report on the collating, tabulation, and declaration of results from the constituency to the national level. CODEO leverages statistical principles to select polling stations for its rapid response observers. The deployment and observation plan ensures a nationwide presence and visibility in every region and constituency, including remote and hard-to-reach areas. The parallel voter tabulation. CODEO will employ the PVT technique to give a comprehensive and accurate account of Ghana's election day process. The PVT involves deploying observers to a statistically representative sample of polling stations on election day. PVT observers will report on the quality of the setup, opening, voting, closing, and counting at the assigned polling station, providing a nationwide assessment of the process. Additionally, observers record official presidential results declared by the poll officials at their CODEO assigned polling stations. They then forward these results to CODEO's National Information Center, allowing CODEO to estimate the presidential voting results at a national level with slight margins of error. The official results announced by the Electoral Commission at the national level will be compared to the PVT estimates. PVT, ladies and gentlemen, helps deter manipulation and, as appropriate, enhances transparency and increases confidence in official results. CODEO uses this observation methodology to assess the quality of election day processes and to estimate vote results accurately. Preparation of CODEO observers for the election day. What have we done so far? In October, CODEO kicked off its preparation for election day observation with a 3-day national training of trainers for CODEO regional coordinators in Accra. Subsequently, in November 2024, the coalition recruited and trained 276 constituency supervisors nationwide. Finally, in November, the coalition recruited and trained polling station rapid response observers. Every recruited observer received training on election and election observation, including the legal framework for elections, election day procedures, election observation, and tools of observation, as well as the code of conduct for election observers. To ensure their adequate preparation, officials from the Electoral Commission facilitated training in the voting processes. CODEO observers were recruited mainly from its member organizations as well as selected youth-focused organizations. All observers observing the polls tomorrow have been accredited by the Electoral Commission. CODEO is grateful to the EC for its training, support, and accreditation for observers. As a member of the global network of domestic election monitors, CODEO adheres to the Declaration of Global Principles for Non-Partisan Election Observation and Monitoring by citizen organizations. CODEO's preparations have therefore included training in observers CODEO's preparations have therefore included training its observers on these global principles, and thus we formally documented each CODEO observer's pledge of neutrality and non-partisanship. To test the readiness of CODEO's reporting and communication systems and its observers, all CODEO observers participated in a national simulation exercise on Tuesday, December 3rd. To further test the CODEO's preparedness for the December 7th election, all observers participated in the second and final simulation exercise on Thursday, December 5th. That's just yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, with all these preparatory efforts successfully executed, we are confident that our observers have received the highest quality of training and are ready to carry out this important national assignment. To ensure that all CODEO observers are adequately positioned to observe the elections, CODEO stationary observers will arrive at their assigned polling stations by 6 a.m. tomorrow and remain there until the official declaration of the ballot count is complete. While stationed at the polling stations, observers will monitor the setup, the opening of the polling station, voting, closing, and counting procedures at the declaration of the vote counts. They will regularly submit observation reports reflecting their findings and provide updates on incidents throughout the day. On the other hand, CODEO's mobile observers will visit various polling stations in their constituencies, particularly those polling stations without stationary observers deployed. They will also submit and send reports based on their observation findings. Later, on December 7th, CODEO constituency and regional collation center observers report at various collation centers nationwide, providing updates on the process and collation of election results. All CODEO observers will wear their blue CODEO t-shirt and a dark blue jacket boldly embossed on the front with CODEO, the CODEO logo, and the back with CODEO's name. They will also have CODEO white caps, so it's easy to identify who the CODEO rep is, and it should be easy to identify who the fake ones are as well, hopefully. CODEO observers will use SMS technology to rapidly send their findings to a sophisticated data management system at the CODEO National Information Center located here at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. CODEO has set up this system so that observers can quickly send reports to the NIC at set times, allowing for a swift nationwide analysis of the voting processes. The National Information Center will then issue regular statements on the polling process. And as has been said already, you are welcome to observe how the station works, what the setup looks like. Critical incidents. CODEO has set up a critical incident desk at the National Information Center to track and address any issues that arise during the voting process. This includes violations, irregularities, disruptions, and other malpractices. Both stationary and mobile observers will file reports as incidents occur. Once verified, CODEO will share these reports with key stakeholders such as the Election Security Task Force and the Electoral Commission to ensure prompt action and corrective measures. CODEO will also collaborate with Pen Plus Bytes and the Ghana Fact-Checking Coalition to combat disinformation, malinformation, and all the other information sicknesses that abound. Dissemination of CODEO findings. CODEO plans, oh, why laughing? Because they are always creating some other things, so we'll find names for them later on. Dissemination of CODEO findings. CODEO plans to release 3 public statements within 24 hours of voting. These statements will be based on observation reports from CODEO observers. The first statement will be a midday situational statement issued at a press conference at the National Information Center on Election Day. That's tomorrow from this site. The second statement will be a press release after the polls close on December 7th. The third one will be at a press conference on December 8th to share CODEO's preliminary observations of the polling process. Additionally, CODEO will release a PVT statement. Please, let me repeat that. Let me slowly read that. Additionally, CODEO will release a PVT statement to verify the official presidential election results declared by the Electoral Commission. So it's verification after declaration. CODEO's extensive experience in citizens' election observation has established it as a trusted source of credible, non-partisan, and objective information on Ghana's electoral process. With its history dating back to the year 2000, CODEO has observed all presidential and parliamentary elections in Ghana since its establishment. It has also observed party primaries, local government elections, and by-elections. As in past elections, CODEO remains dedicated to upholding its commitment to Ghanaians by delivering impartial information about the electoral process. Now, to be continued. And I invite the co-chair, Mrs. Villas, to continue the statement.
So I'll take you through the highlights of CODEO observation of the electoral pre-election environment. As previously mentioned, the Electoral Commission's voter registration exercise and the subsequent display of the voter register kicked off CODEO's comprehensive observation activities for the December 7th election earlier in the year. CODEO shared its findings on these activities with the public. Beginning October 1st, CODEO deployed nearly 97 long-term observers to 97 purposefully selected constituencies nationwide. CODEO has since issued 2 public statements based on analysis of bi-weekly observation reports from its long-term observations between the period October 1st and November 15th. Analysis of the long-term observers report failed subsequently for the period November 16 to 28, and it reinforces the earlier findings CODEO observed. CODEO's observation of the pre-election environment between October 1st and November 28 yielded the following key findings. First, the political environment was generally calm and peaceful. Second, voter and civic education activities within the observed constituencies were generally low, although improvement was observed in the last few weeks. Before the elections, that is between the 28th of October and December 4th. Now, the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Party dominated the campaign scene in the constituencies observed. House-to-house campaigning was the most frequently observed activity, followed by the meetings and party rallies. And there were notable differences in the key issues addressed by the NPP and NDC campaigns. The main issues raised by both parties included education, the economy, unemployment, corruption, food and agriculture, water, health, sanitation, crime, and security. There were instances of incumbency abuse, including using state resources, such as public vehicles and government-owned equipment for campaign purposes. Voter inducement through the distribution of food, treats, and money by various candidates, and campaigns was noted in a few constituencies. Incidents of vote buying were reported in a few constituencies in the country. Then the special voting exercises by the EC on December 2nd and 5th December this year. The report was, the Electoral Commission observed special voting on Monday, December 2nd and Thursday, December 5th, 2024, for security personnel, election officials, and journalists on duty on December 7th. CODEO observed the special voting by deploying 228 observers to 216 constituencies on Monday, December 2nd. Then CODEO observers also observed Thursday's special voting in the Eastern and Western region. On Tuesday, December 3rd, CODEO issued its observation statement on December 2nd, special voting exercise, which occurred in all but 2 regions of the country. While CODEO observer reports noted a generally smooth voting process, CODEO was alarmed by reports of some voters photographing cast ballots and alleged incidents of vote buying. Now, CODEO appeal for peace and credible elections. Ladies and gentlemen, to ensure a peaceful and credible election processes and outcomes, CODEO calls on the following actions to take place immediately. And these important steps are: all eligible citizens must follow the appropriate electoral processes to exercise their franchise, respect electoral rules and public order, and avoid any incident that could mar the integrity of the elections. Second, political parties and candidates must refrain from voter inducement practices. CODEO calls on voters to freely exercise their right to choose their leaders. Then political leaders, candidates, second, security personnel, and supporters must promote calm and restraint to maintain peace in the country. Now, the Electoral Commission and security agents must guarantee the secrecy of the vote and take appropriate measures in case of any attempt to influence voters. The Electoral Commission and all polling stations must firmly and impartially and objectively apply electoral rules to ensure the fair process. Party agents must respect electoral laws, behave responsibly, and assist officials in executing their duties effectively. The National Election Security Task Force and all security agents on duty must perform their duties with professionalism, fairness, and respect for Ghana's Constitution. Then again, the media must provide professional and balanced reporting on the elections. Finally, all domestic and international observers must support the polling exercise impartially and in coordination to ensure peaceful and credible elections. So in conclusion, CODEO urges Ghanaians to uphold democratic principles by peacefully selecting leaders, and CODEO commends all presidential candidates for their commitment to promoting peace during and after the election, as seen in the Peace Pact ceremony on November 28, 2024. CODEO is confident that all stakeholders, including the Electoral Commission, the security agents, the media, political party leaders, candidates, supporters, and all Ghanaians will respect the country's electoral rules and regulations and discharge themselves accordingly. CODEO wishes to remind all to use appropriate channels and procedures to address any relevant grievance emanating from the conduct of the polls. And finally, CODEO calls on the general public to be wary of potential misinformation and take preventive measures to stem the spread of false information. As an independent, impartial, and objective observer, CODEO assures Ghanaians of its role in ensuring electoral integrity. CODEO's presence at polling stations will have a moderating influence on key actors promoting peaceful and credible elections. CODEO will also collaborate with the Electoral Commission, political parties, civil society organizations, international observers, and the media to achieve a successful election. CODEO acknowledges the presence and solidarity of observer groups that are on a technical mission and are being hosted by CODEO. They are as follows: the West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network, the West Africa Election Observers Joint Mission, and the East and Horn of Africa Election Observers Network, the National Democratic Institute Study Mission, the Nigerian Civic Society Situation Room, and the International Women Communications Center. We recognize our sister organizations, YEGA Africa, which is also based in Nigeria. Acknowledgement. CODEO acknowledges with gratitude the general support of its partners, including the American people, through the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, the National Democratic Institute, the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office of the UK, and the European Union and ECOWAS. So having said all this, we end up by saying, may God bless our homeland Ghana and keep us safe throughout the elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Villas. Before we open up for questions, so that the board can respond, let me do some few acknowledgements as well. So we like to thank Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center. They've been our partners since 2000 when we started deploying the PVT. And I don't know if the commandant is here, but really grateful for all the support. Also, to acknowledge our technical partners from the National Democratic Institute, NDI, Anis, see, I saw him earlier. They've been with us all throughout the year. Really appreciate their support. And also to recognize the delegation from DC, the International Republican Institute. Are they here? All right, great. Thank you very much for coming. And I'd like to recognize Dr. Sarah Biriti, who is the chairperson of the Global Network of Domestic Election Monitors, GENDEM. She's also the chairperson of the Eastern Horn of Africa Election Observers Network. and Reverend James Lahai, who is the chairperson of WIOM, but also the chairperson of the African Election Observers Network. Thank you very much, and you are all very welcome. Let me also recognize our regional coordinators and consensus supervisors from Accra, Greater Accra, who are here, representing our 31 regional coordinators across the country and our 276 consensus supervisors. Thank you very much for all the hard work. They've been hard at work, observing the special voting, still trying to get all our observers trained, recruited, and ready, the simulation process. Really appreciate all your effort. Thank you very much also for coming. And then let me also, Commonwealth Secretariat delegation is here. Thank you very much. Krisanko Watch for Malawi. Thank you very much for being here. And I think ECOWAS is also here. Thank you very much for all the support. So we'll now open for questions, clarifications from anybody, if anybody has a question, from the media as well. If you have any questions, we'll take them. The floor is open. Yes, sir. Get the mic to him, please. So if you introduce yourself and questions.
My name is Jerry John J. Stevenson. I'm with IRI.
Oh, okay.
So I would want to know, in the address it was indicated the CODEO would do collation so that they would juxtapose that with the one the EC declares. Is it the point that CODEO will be able to send reps across all the over 400,000 polling stations to make sure that they get the result from these areas for such purposes? I want clarity on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Can we take some more, please? Okay. All right. I'll ask the co-site. That's relation to the PVT. So CODEO's PVT, which is the parallel vote tabulation, is based on statistical sampling. So there are over 40,000 polling stations. Our PVT sample is 1,500, but it's drawn from a national representative sample that basically mimics the number of voters in all the constituencies in all the regions. So we are able to estimate the results, not just the final result, but the process, right from the beginning, the setup, how many materials have been distributed to most of the places. We can monitor all those processes as well as the results using the estimates within a certain margin of error. It's not, we have not deployed in all the 40,000, but that's what we are able to do with the sample that we have drawn. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. Are we good? Reverend, are you going to make a solidarity statement? They have sabotaged your mic. Good.
You caused the problem by requesting for a solidarity statement. I want to know what your relationship is like with the Electoral Commission, noting that they are conducting the elections and you are undertaking the PVT, which definitely is projecting what the results are. And in the event of having network challenges, what's your plan B so that you still have your data in real time?
We might not share our plan B with you, but we'll still answer that. So the convention and the practice is 72 hours for the Electoral Commission to declare. So this is not by law, but since we started with the Fourth Republic, the time frame is normally 3 days that the Electoral Commission works to produce the report. Normally by the 9th, sometimes even 8th if it's possible, they release the response. And CODEO have always respected the 72-hour window. We work very closely with the Electoral Commission throughout the process. So if there are any issues that the Electoral Commission is facing in terms of collating and declaring results, we'll have plenty of opportunity to engage them on that. So the role is mutually respectful and complementary. The Electoral Commission, as Mr. Ahin mentioned, there have been times where we have picked up some miscalculation that we have pointed out, and that has been corrected in the past. So we hope that engagement continues also for 2024. But our protocol is that within the 72-hour window, once they declare, we also go and share our estimates. So as for our plan Bs for network challenges and all of those things, as I said, that's our trade secret, so I will not share that with you. Thank you. All right. Whilst you're doing that, let me recognize Dr. Gariba from the CDD West Africa, our sister organization in Nigeria. Dr. Gariba. Yes, sir. Welcome. Welcome.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Celestine from the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room. My interest is on the relationship with the security and how is this going to play out in terms of deployment across the country, especially around the rural communities, the grassroots communities. Then the second one is on the inclusiveness with regards to participation. So what does CODEO have in place in terms of disaggregating to a certain participation? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Austin. I wanted to just find out. Ghana is a beacon of hope, particularly in West Africa. What is it that CODEO will anticipate as the greatest danger to the electoral process or election, democracy as it were, in tomorrow's elections?
Maybe let me take those few. Relationship with the security services. Again, for Ghana, we have the National Election Security Task Force, which is a specialized security arrangement that is put in place for elections. And that it's a unified command that has the Inspector General of Police at the head. But it has all the security agencies as part of it, including the army and other actors. So, for example, for our incidents desk, we have some members of the National Election Security Task Force who work with us on the incident desk so that they can react to issues that come up from our monitoring in real life, scenarios. So, and we've done that in past elections. So we work very well with them. They will normally provide us with all the numbers of district commanders, regional commanders, so that if there are any security issues, we can alert the security to step in. The Electoral Commission also provides us with the numbers of their district directors, regional directors, so that if there are shortages or any issues that we can correct them as quickly as possible to allow the election to go very smoothly. In terms of inclusiveness, we have certain protocols with CODEO. In terms of even our observation, we have a minimum quota of 10% persons with disability, and then a minimum of 30% women and 50% youth. So that's our, basically our floor, and we try as much as possible to make sure that even the observation process is inclusive. But also in our checklist, we have questions that try to disaggregate data in terms of gender and other factors. So that's one of the ways in which we track inclusiveness and also make the process inclusive. What's the greatest danger? I think if you take a look at our analysis of sort of electoral events from 2016, most of the time, the election day, the voting is fine. There are really no challenges with voter machines, materials, and so on and so forth. It's the post-election period, particularly the collation period, and the declaration and announcement of results is where we've had the challenges. And there's been a lot of effort to maybe reorganize the collation center process, and also to try and counter misinformation and disinformation, to try and mitigate that process. So I think if there are any dangers, that's where we need to pay attention, learn lessons from the last two elections, try as much as possible, to address some of the vulnerabilities during the collation period. Thank you. All right.
C'est moi. Bonjour.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Bonjour, mais je vais parler en français. Je suis docteur Issifou Habsatou. Je relève des
ONC. My bilingual translate. Grace.
Yeah. My name is Dr. Habsatou Issifou.
Okay.
I come from Niger. I have some questions, but I have to speak in French.
There are a number of, where are the Wademos people, the French speakers? Okay, they are translators.
Yes, we are here.
All right.
D'accord, merci. Donc, je reprends. Je me nomme Habsatou Issifou. Je viens du Niger. Je suis juriste.
So I am Habsatou Issif. I'm from Niger, a journalist.
Juriste.
Juriste. Okay, sorry, I'm a lawyer.
D'accord. Vous avez parlé des résultats. Vous avez parlé de déclarations, des déclarations de la Commission nationale, mais aussi du CODEO. En tant que juriste, on a quelques questions par rapport aux éventuels problèmes qui vont survenir lorsqu'il y aura des grandes discordances, des grands écarts entre les résultats que va annoncer la Commission nationale et ceux que vous aurez récoltés après l'observation.
Okay. So you spoke about the results, and you also spoke about your statements, your press releases, and then press statements. What will be if there is any much discrepancies based on the statement that you are issuing and that of the Electoral Commission? How are you going to handle that?
Yeah, merci. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, my name is Chibike Mbereke. I represent CDD and Wadamos, please. Going back to your PVT, and I want to ask, and I remember vividly, the last election in Ghana, there was a slight contention between you and the Electoral Commission at the, in terms of the result, what was released. And I understand when you said to enjoy a perfect relationship with the EC, which is very critical in conducting PVC. So I also listened and you said 1,500 will be deployed to stay put in the polling units, and those are the people who would determine your PVT largely. They'll be sending their reports straight to systems, right? Now, there are other categories, 4,000 in all. I want to ask, Is it only the 1,500 that we will rely on, or are you going to also rely on reports from others? Are there others that also will send their information straight to your systems apart from the 1,500? And the second one is, from what I've just said about relationship with the EC, if there is a substantial difference from your findings and what is released by the EC, that's where the relationship comes to play. How do you resolve it if there are some substantial, differences in the release result? Thank you.
Morning, my name is Samda Segna. I'm from Burkina Faso, du Centre pour la gouvernance démocratique, mais ici dans le cadre de Wademos. Voilà, je bascule en français.
So I'm here on behalf of Wademos, and I'm from Burkina Faso. I'm going to continue in French.
Nous savons que les États de l'Afrique de l'Ouest font face à des défis sécuritaires. Je voudrais savoir quel a été l'impact de ces défis sécuritaires sur le processus, la préparation du processus électoral. Et deuxièmement, comment est-ce que CODEO et l'OGE se sont organisés pour pouvoir faire face à la fois à la sécurité du processus électoral et à la sécurité nationale de façon globale. Merci.
So I want to bring to light, we know very well that the military has a role to play when it comes to electoral processes. I wish to know, how has the military been part of the processes, your discussions, and your deliberations? And then also, what about the security within the electoral processes and security situation in general in Ghana?
Can I take these ones and then we'll come back to it? I think so. A number of questions around the PVT. As I said, our protocol is 72 hours, and all throughout that period, we stay in close communication with the Electoral Commission. But there are also many other ways in which we check consistency of results. You would experience, and I'm sure from other observers who are here, that the media also does extensive collation throughout the process. So there are multiple ways in which you track if there are any divergence or they are developing discrepancies. That allows you to engage early in the process to let everybody check their information. So the 2016 example, again, for example, in the calculation of turnout, that happened even before the Electoral Commission did the final turnout figures or shared the final turnout figures, because we were able to intervene and show that the calculation was wrong. So we will, for me, that's one of the ways in which you try and deal with any discrepancies that occur. Unless, from the CODEO perspective, unless it is a case of manipulation of the results, then CODEO needs to make a decision as to whether to make its findings public before the Electoral Commission. So, but even within that protocol, you still are working within the 72 hours. So it might be that the Electoral Commission will still be able to declare the results in the 72 hours, but if we have detected any incidents of manipulation and so on, after they declare, we'll still put out our results. If, in terms of, with all the engagement that has been done, there is no compromise or there is no consensus on the quality of the data. So it's not just the Electoral Commission. We also have a responsibility to check and recheck our data as well and be confident we've collected the right information. We always say the beauty about the PVT is that you are taking polling station data. So you don't have the challenges of contamination or whatever that might happen through the collation process. So it tends to be very good data that we are able to rely on. Yes, our relationship with the Electoral Commission is of mutual respect, and also all of us playing our role and understanding that. I wouldn't say it's perfect, because sometimes we completely disagree with the Electoral Commission's position on a number of things. But we all understand our role. We understand they have a mandate. We also have, as citizens, we have rights that we try to exercise. So that is not an issue. Where we have to disagree, we disagree, you know, on principle and based on the information that we have. The other observers, which is the 1,900 and so that are observing, are also deliberately deployed to particular constituencies for good reasons. You know, we are interested in competitive parliamentary seats. We are interested in hotspots, you know, violent-prone areas. So they have been purposively also deployed. And all of them will be sending messages through our system. So they are all basically using the same system. It's just that we disaggregate this data when it hits the system. On military deployment, yes, in 2020, it was something that voters expressed concern about. And since 2020, there has been a lot of engagement as to how the military is going to deploy. Just recently, if you have seen the statement from the Ghana Armed Forces, they have made it clear that they are not going to deploy at the polling station, and that they are going to only support the police and on the invitation of the police. So that's the understanding that we have with the military in terms of their deployment. And the issue for us is to make sure that the military is not necessarily involved in things like crowd control and so on and so forth, which in the past caused some fatalities. So at least I think we've come far in terms of making it clear how the military is going to support the process, and I think that's a good development for all of us. Okay. I think there was a question at the back, and then yes.
Sorry, hi, good morning. I'm Genevieve Partington, Amnesty International, one of the members of the General Assembly. My question is to complement the question of the person from Burkina Faso. I think just to elaborate that, it was also on how has the conflict in Burkina Faso had an effect on the constituencies at the border, and are we deploying observers over there? To add to that, how about Boko? I know the situation is really bad there, and it will be very interesting to know, are we deploying observers there, or are they going to be around that constituency? What's the, you know, strategy around that? Thank you.
Hello. Good morning. I am Shaibu Adamu, a constituency supervisor in Greater Accra region. We heard that, or we learned that CODEO has recruited a number of ED observers from its member organizations, the 42 member organizations. Aside that, we have also recruited some youth groups. And I think this year is the first time we are doing that. And I want to know the reason for engaging the youth groups as part of the ED observers. Aside that, the second one is a commendation for CODEO for the platform to young Ghanaians to also support in nation building. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. I think, so this election, with the help of the Netherlands embassy, we targeted really increasing the number of youth observers. If you look at our census data, we have a very young population. Even if you look at the voter population, 55% are between the ages of 18 and 35. So young people are really going to determine this election. And as CODEO, for inclusivity and all of the things that we want to promote in terms of getting Ghanaians, we say the youth are the future, but we know that given the population dynamics, they are actually the present. So we really need to make a very strong effort to begin to support young people to participate in an important national exercise like elections. The more they participate, the more they also appreciate the importance of good governance, democracy, because the other narrative we are getting is young people are also getting frustrated with democracy. So I think it's an opportunity to really encourage a lot of young people to participate. And I know that our constituency supervisors and our regional coordinators have complained about some of the youth, but as I said on your platform, treat them as your little brothers and sisters and encourage them, throughout the process. Once they do it, they will get the confidence, they will become more experienced, and I think Ghana will be better for it. So really, and as I said, I really appreciate the hard work that you have put in to be able to get all these young people as part of it. And all the youth groups that have supported us through. At the end, they are still very much as part of the command structure of CODEO, and that's why you are there, that's why you train them, and so on and so forth. So we're looking really forward to working with them, not just now, but also in the future. Boko, yes, it's, I think there have been even further deployment of the army to Boko because of the ethnic and chieftaincy conflict in Boko. And I said that in Boko, basically, it's almost like an apartheid system, unfortunately, to use that word, but the reality is that you can only recruit Mamprusi people in the Mamprusi areas and Kusasi people in the Kusasi areas. People cannot cross, to other places. And for their own security, we've had observers, there. But they have observed the BVR process, the biometric voter register. They've observed special voting there, and so on. So they've done a brilliant job so far. We have not had any issues, and we hope that will continue during the elections as well in the country. So yes, there will be deployments there, but that's where we've also engaged with the army that we need a lot more improvement in the community entry of the security services when they are going into areas like that, so that we don't have clashes and all of that. But we've trained our observers on security, and we continue to keep an eye on those kinds of areas, particularly where there are conflict or simmering conflict. So those are some of the steps we have taken, and we'll continue to work with the security on that. I think. Yeah, so I think I explained the issue about what we'll do with when there are discrepancies in terms of our protocols, and I mentioned the 2016 one as an example of how we dealt with that, and we will continue to do that engagement as we go along with the electoral. We normally, on the 8th which is the Sunday, we normally release our turnout figures and our rejected ballot figures. So it's always to give an indication to our stakeholders that we have the data. So we'll share our turnout figures and rejected ballot figures on Sunday when we do our press conference. And then we all patiently wait for the results. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So I will now close this session and invite you to our data center, which is at the back, where my colleagues will take you through basically how the system works, how we're receiving our data, and all the processes involved with that. Thank you very much for coming, and we'll be seeing you more. I see Mr. Njo Kambodu at the back there from NAGRAT, one of our advisory board members. Welcome very much. Thank you.